Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I hope you're doing well, wherever you are. Today, I want to break down this speech that RAILA gave at MUKAMI KIMATHI's funeral, the late heroine, Mau Mau heroine, okay? But before I do that, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead, take a second and hit the subscribe button, like, share, and tell me your thoughts, okay? Give me your thoughts of what you think about this speech and my review as it relates to that speech, okay? All right, let's get to it. So, RAILA came to this funeral later than other dignitaries, and in fact, it was a little bit disrespectful to me, in my opinion. I mean, he walked in the middle of somebody giving eulogy, and obviously it was done deliberately because he wanted to be noticed. He wanted this grand entrance. He wanted the focus to be on him. And yes, he got that attention that he wanted. I know a lot of people are talking about the fact that he did not shake Musalia Mudavadi's hands, but went ahead and shook hands with Rigathi Gachagua and of course with the president. But let's get to the speech, okay? He started by acknowledging a few gentlemen from the area, and what I thought was in bad taste, he mentioned Kioni and somebody else, and mentioned the party that they belonged to. I didn't get why. Why did he have to mention Kioni and Jubilee in the same sentence? I mean, this is a funeral. Why would you mention somebody's party affiliation? That's number one. And in general, I don't want to make it this like it's not limited to RAILA. Everyone was playing politics. Everyone talking about politics, which I think is in bad taste. A funeral should be a time where people are mourning and we eulogize, talk about the good things that the deceased did, the good things and the things that are commendable. We are remembering, we are celebrating somebody's life, okay? We don't issue the podium for somebody to talk politics. But anyway, RAILA went on, and he first, like I said, he recognized Kioni and some other gentlemen who belong to Jubilee. Then he went on, gave us a brief history of how he met Mukari Kimathi. And the way he explained it, it came out, to, in my opinion, it was kind of braggadocious. He was mentioning how he helped Miss Kimani Mukami. He talked about how he helped her move from Gorogocho to a place where she lived before she passed on. He mentioned how he helped her son, paid for her school fees and paid for her way to go for further studies in India, and up until the unfortunate death of Dedan Kimathi Jr. I didn't see the need of RAILA highlighting that, mentioning that he helped this lady, okay? That was not in good taste. Number two, he went on and kind of tied it in with Mandela's speech, highlighting the speech by Mandela when Mandela was explaining the difference between offensive violence and defensive violence. And RAILA was basically trying to justify the use of stones during protests. When the protesters start throwing stones towards the police, he labeled that as defensive violence, which of course he was trying to defend. This drew a couple of laughter because it was ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to throw stones towards the police, not so many people will have sympathy for you. You're not supposed to be throwing stones. Regardless of how brutal the police are, it just doesn't look good. So I don't think he really did himself a favor or win any points about that. The positive thing that I actually drew some applause was he mentioned Punda Amechoka, basically referring to the taxation that the government wants to levy against the people who are already struggling. When he mentioned that a lot of Kenyans are going through tough financial times, that drew applause. So he won earned 1 or 2 points from that, which was okay, But still, I think the whole speech, it was perfectly delivered because don't get me wrong, the delivery was perfect. The cadence, tone of voice, the silence. I mean, he captured the room when he was talking, but the content itself was wanting because I think politics, it was 90% politics and maybe 10% really about this lady who was deceased, this Mau Mau lady. Again, he also invoked his dad's name when he gave an example of how Jaramogi defended the Mau Mau, and also, you know, how people of Nyanza province helped the Mau Mau escape to another country, away from outside the country when the British were looking for them. That was a little bit, it was a good historical picture he was painting there, but again, I didn't see the need for him to mention his dad. It seems like his whole speech was self-centered. It was about himself. It was a good speech, but he was the center of everything. You know, it was like he was the hero in the story. While I felt like if you're going to the funeral, the hero should be the deceased. You should emphasize, the emphasis should be on the deceased, not what the good things you did to the deceased, the good things that. But anyway, he tried to do that while trying to galvanize the crowd around patriotism, mentioning that Kenyans should come together and all that. Of course, he also did take a swipe at the president, which, if you remember, he didn't introduce when he acknowledged the president, he did not acknowledge him as the president, but he just said Honorable in Swahili, Mheshimiwa William Ruto. He never said Rais Ruto, Samoei Ruto. So that was also something to think about. But anyway, he took a swipe at the president and said, Uyu Ruto nimemjua, you know, I know how to deal with him. I just watch him make noise, but eventually he'll be quiet, in quotes, as Raila put it. So anyway, in summation, I think the speech was well delivered, but the content itself was more self-centered. It was more about Raila and his contribution and the relationship with how he has helped the Mau Mau, rather than talking about Mukami, Kimathi, and her brave lifestyle, brave contribution towards the liberation of Kenya. I was expecting to hear more about Miss Mukami Kimathi, brave contribution to the liberation of Kenya, independence, but Raila made it more about himself by highlighting how he helped the family, the son, and all that. But anyway, that's my take about it. Give me your view. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, share, like, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.